Hello, it's me, Annalisa, with my spiritual friend, and I'm back again. It's Thursday. I missed Monday for a manifesting chat. Every time your kid gets a cold now, you have to go get a COVID test. So that has to be built into my schedule as well. So I'm back. I'm doing a manifesting chat. I am a spiritualist reverend, an ordained spiritualist reverend, certified psychic medium, certified seance conductor, certified energy healer. And I love all things manifesting. And I love helping people on their own spiritual journeys, highlight energy. um 555 silent hero. It's nice to see you. Hi Julia, it's good to see you. This is live. And I'm not doing any readings today, but I am doing a chat. And I kind of wanted to talk about when there's competition and talk about, hi, Urban Lady. Oh, it's so nice to see everybody. If you're new here, welcome. If you're watching the replay and you're new, welcome. I love this community. I love this forum. I like doing live readings. I have a background in nursing and I like interacting with people and I like teaching people. And, just like to me, teaching people about their bodies and their health, it was always really amazing to me how, I don't want to say misguided, but how much people don't really know about their bodies and their own health. And I'm also really amazed at how sometimes we can get misled on our own spiritual journeys. So that's why I like to talk about these things. There's so many things that I was taught growing up. Kind of I grew up, my family was Catholic. Then some transitioned into Episcopalian. I've gone to lots of different Christian churches. There's a lot of fear-based stuff. And I'm not saying all of them are like this, and I'm not saying all of them are bad, but there is a lot of fear-based stuff about I've heard people say, well, I don't want to ask God for that because that's selfish. And I think nothing is selfish. It's okay to ask for a parking space. It's okay to put all that stuff out there. So I went on my whole life I've been connected and with spirit. And I went on started my big spiritual journey I started talking to spirit, not realizing that that's what I was doing or that it was different when I was very young, and always been curious about God. But really starting researching my spiritual practice my freshman year after college, because I was really lost and really lonely. And I thought, I need something. And if this is it, great. If it's not, I'll keep moving. But I am always sort of the type of person that doesn't just sit and let life happen. I'm going to find the solution if I'm not feeling right. So I've gone to lots of different Christian churches. And what happened was I sort of realized that none of it was fitting because of my own intuition and my own psychic abilities and what I felt with God. And so I went to the New Age section when I moved to New York as a travel nurse and thought, no one's going to pray for my soul here. And no one's going to make me feel like I'm going to hell here. So, and that's where I started, even before that, I kind of learned about the law of attraction, and it sort of went in alignment where it's like, if you pray and ask God as if you already have it, and with gratitude. So I was like, okay, that's like the same thing. There's something there. And I actually stumbled upon law of attraction because I decided I was going to make myself have a bad day one day at work, just to see if it was possible. Like if just spilling a cup of coffee would then roll into having a terrible day from some simple act like that. So I figured if you could do it on the negative, then you definitely could do it on the positive. And then as a nurse, at one point I was in the ER in Austin, and a doctor at one time said to me, everybody's just a mirror of you. And I didn't understand that. And it really wasn't until recently that I fully grasped what that meant. And it's not that everybody is showing up as a reflection of who you are. So, when people show up in a really crappy way, that doesn't mean you're a crappy person. They show up because you believe you're not valuable or worthy or deserving, or you don't have the confidence, you feel not sure of your own opinions and beliefs, or you don't feel you deserve healthy boundaries. So let me take a little sip. what I wanted to talk about is then what happens when you're start in your manifesting journey and the law of assumption and you feel like there's competition. What happens when you're there? Well, first of all, the idea of competition, or you feel like that little jealousy trigger that someone's doing what you want to be doing, and it's somebody you know. Like I know a lot of psychics, a lot of tarot readers. I trained in the New York area. I trained at New York's at Holistic Studies Institute in New York City. I'm pointing, it's east of me now, and my mentor Stephen Robinson is fantastic, and um, he started the school I think the year it was born. He is an absolutely incredible person. I'm really grateful to have found him, and he's trained a lot of different people and all walks of life, and they all kind of find their own way. But it'd be easy for me to go, there's a lot of competition out there, nobody will ever find me, or maybe I'm not good enough, maybe my style's not right, maybe people don't like it because I don't do tarot. There's a million different things I could have told myself. And along this journey of building a business, I could have easily done it the way other people did it to get quick hits, but I knew that I was supposed to do it in my own way and follow my own unique path. And I could have given up so many times because it's taken me a long time to get here. When I first started, I put a timeline. I was like, why isn't it happening now? Why isn't it happening now? And then I realized that, okay, there's other things that I have to learn along the path in order to get me to where I'm supposed to be. Um, we get these ideas that people are going to be better than us, or I don't know, maybe they're not going to connect right. But I finally kind of got really relaxed and understood that it's not really competition, that there's how many billions of people in the world. And I just started realizing that, everything happens in perfect divine timing, and um, the right people will find you. So not everybody is attracted to other readers' energy or their experiences. And I really believe that's because we as readers are filters. You're going to get a reading, you're going to come to me, and there's often times where I'm like, oh, I've been through that. Like I get where you're at. And the universe uses those experiences for me to be able to pass the messages along easier. Light and energy says, like, if you only want to do it because of fame or money or number of followers, then you're in it for the wrong reason. Oh, there's so many. Well, it's what's interesting is however, even if that's the reason you're doing it, and like, for me, that's not the right reason to do it. But if that's the reason you're doing it, you're still going to be passing along messages based on your own experiences. Maybe they're limited, maybe they're more surface level, but maybe that's what the person receiving the message needs at that time, is something more limited and more surface level, until they get to the part of their journey where they're ready for the deeper work. Or maybe that's enough of an inspiration for them to move into the journey in the place that they need to be. You never know. So I don't worry about like when I listen to other channels talk about manifesting, and they're like, oh, they never will mention anybody else's name. They'll mention Neville Goddard, or they'll mention Florence Scovel-Shinn, but they won't mention other coaches, or they won't mention other people who talk about manifesting, unless it's like, I don't know, maybe I've heard a few names, but it's very rare that they talk about the smaller channels. And I think, why? I'm going to mention other channels. And it's not because I'm worried about competition. I want you to learn and gather the information from as many places as possible, because maybe something I say will ring true for you and really hit home, but maybe somebody else says it in a different way that hits home better. And I'm all about like, you'll get it where you need to get it. And I'm not worried about it. And everybody comes to me in the right way. So I don't worry about the money part of it. I think a lot of people have this. You said there's a lot of it is because of the money associated with guidance from above. I get it. However, I'm not worried about it, again, because then that's a limiting idea of like, that you shouldn't receive money for spiritual work. You shouldn't, because it's your gift as a spiritual leader is no different than a gift as being a doctor or a lawyer. Some people are just gifted in different ways, right? So my passion is to talk about spiritual stuff and my psychic abilities and sort of help people, guide them to find their own inner happiness. I can't do that work for them, but I can give them the tools that worked for me and what's helped me. And it doesn't mean every day is beautiful and I'm happy every day and I don't have a bad day that I don't like, just like, ugh. Um, but it means that on the whole, I can stand up and pick myself up and reaffirm and give myself a pep talk, or I surround myself with people that are really good about like, no, 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 you got this. Like, and they do the same thing for me. Like, you got to say this affirmation. And I do that for my friends. I don't worry about like if they're in it for the money. I mean, if they are, whatever, again, that's where their energy, and they'll pull the people that like align with that energy. But there are many that appear to take advantage of vulnerable people. There are many that appear to take advantage of vulnerable people. Um, and again, I sort of, do I think it's right? No, but that's why I also build my own business with integrity. That's why I try to work completely with integrity, and why I read the way I do. I don't solicit. I set pretty fair prices. Hi, Raktan. So here's the other thing. When you're in a place of alignment and a higher self concept, you're not going to worry about, well, they're doing it this way. Don't worry about that. They have to deal with their own stuff. That's their journey. And you can't save everybody and you can't stop everybody and being upset about it or observing it. So yeah, there are people out there like that, but you don't have to work that way. And really all you can do is focus on you and what you're doing. So focus on you, your self-concept, the way you want to run your business, not this idea that there's competition out there and there's too many people and it's oversaturated. Because you know what? I don't know any doctors who go into medicine and go, there's too many doctors out there. And like some of them practice like crap, so I'm not going to do it. Like, that's just like, there are doctors out there who are in it for the money, who want to get as many clients as they can, lawyers, whatever. So yeah, there are, but it doesn't mean that you stop practicing with integrity. You do your thing and you lift up the energy and practice in a way that reflects that. Anything you go into, if it's not the competition of actual physical competition, it's the idea that you have to break through the barrier and be the mold for it. So if nobody's ever done it before, you have to it's push through and persist regardless. And you sort of have to decide, I'm going to do this, and I'm not going to allow the idea that there's other people doing it. I'm not going to allow the idea that there's no one's ever done it before. I'm just going to like go on with my own vision. Because if I wasn't meant to do it, I would never have gotten the inspiration for it. I spent a lot of time being upset about like integrity, because then I would see people be like, oh yeah, that's just fake, whatever. There are fake people out there in every area. There are charlatans in every construction. There's charlatans. My husband works in construction and in the city, and I'm not saying like none of them, but that's like where like, like I won't say his name, but whatever. But there are people who don't do a good job in every area, and who aren't thorough, and who don't put somebody else's needs above, their want for money. But all of that balance happens, and you can't worry about it so much. Cheering up others in their bad time help us in some way, boosting up our morals or confidence anyway. Yes, I think so. Just wanted to explore this feeling more, hence thought to ask the root cause of this. I'm helping many in, oh, like why you feel like cheering up others? Is that what you're asking? Sometimes, I don't know. For me, it's just that I've been in that low space and it feels like crap. So I don't want others to have to feel that way. It's not because I feel like it's my job. I just think I see someone suffering, And I think, we're all going to have hard time in life. We're all going to have pain, but we shouldn't suffer. There's no need for that. And so if you can help in some way, be an ear just to witness and listen, um, uh, open yourself up to pass along a message. So I did this in high school and I didn't realize I was channeling. But my friends would have a problem and I would just go, God, I don't know what to say. Just use me as a vessel and pass the message along. And then I'd have this whole conversation and they'd be like, you always know what to say. And then I'd be like, I don't remember what I just said. I would have zero recollection of the entire conversation. I just go, oh, okay. And if you just open yourself up to be a part of somebody else's miracle, and it doesn't mean you won't even necessarily feel like you're doing something big half the time. It's just, you're like, oh yeah, no big deal, whatever. It's a part of that. You, just like other people, are part of your own miracles and manifestations coming to light. Cheering someone up can be through humor. It can be in many different ways. It can sometimes cheering somebody up, relieving some of their stuff, is just witnessing them, listening, without offering advice, without offering your own experience in it, just listening and saying, I'm here, I see it, I see you. You're very welcome, Rockton. I always love interacting with y'all. So but the idea of competition is, again, it's like, if you're still looking at it like, well, these people are doing that, then you're not in your own space of alignment. And so what I recommend for that is going back into the place like, I am secure, I am safe, I am supported. The universe supports me. I am unique. I'm a magnet. Going into like the core stuff about yourself, that's where your story comes from, in that you're somehow not enough or not valuable or not worthy to get this stuff because there's so many other people and look at what they're doing. And people will be attracted to your light and who you are. It doesn't matter what area you're going into to look for something, whether it's a job or a relationship. If you stand in your own power and your own truth, and your own truth is, I'm enough, I am valuable, not your negative truth, not your lower self truth, but your higher self truth. That is very helpful. I think what happens is, Julia, is when you said, my experience is to surround yourself with like-minded people. I always choose services from people that are kind and appreciative. Right. So, but that's where I'm talking about, where you don't have to worry about whether or not you're going to get the clients or you're going to get the job. Because if you're in alignment with your own truth, the right people will be attracted to you. The right clients come to you if you have your own. Like, I noticed for myself, like, I just don't worry about it anymore. The right clients come to me because they're attracted to my energy. I always say the universe sends it too. So the right person will talk to them and tell them a story about it, or they'll find me online somehow. They'll be drawn to this and they'll want to watch and they'll be interested in it. If you're looking for a more traditional job, like where you're going and you're working for somebody else, with nursing, like when I interviewed at one of the hospitals, I interviewed for 3 different positions. And I knew the one I wanted the most. And it was a day shift too. So it was like perfect, because I don't really like working nights. I'm not a night person. I can do it. It's just very miserable. And I like the activity of during the day. I really need to be busy. And nights don't have all the tests and everything else like that, and the doctor's rounding. And I just went in like, oh, I got this job, it's mine. I could see myself in it. And putting that energy out there, like, automatically set me up. Where my manager, who was interviewing me at the time, like, you could just feel there was a, like, this is it. If you feel like, oh, well, I don't know if they'll like me, you can feel the difference in the energy when somebody walks in the room and feels terrible about themselves and that they're not worthy and they're not valuable. You don't have to be a psychic to feel these things. Like, think about when you walk into a public space and someone apologizes and they kind of shrink in their energy for just being there. Like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm in your way. Like, you know that. And then there's the people that can like stand in a room and they're just charismatic and they just light up the room. That's about their knowing and their belief system about what they're there to do and how they are. And it's not because they're better than you. It's a belief system. I believe I am worthy. I am worthy. I am valuable. I have something to offer the world. The right people are going to find me. The problem that we get caught up in is time. And we think there's a limited number of time. And so if I don't do it by this time and I see all these other people around me really, really successful, then I'm a failure. And then you go into a totally different belief system. I get excited when I get one new subscriber. I'm like, one more person I get to help, one more person that maybe will find their connection through me. And I know it sounds silly, but that's me. I'm not worried about, I will say, like, it's not that I'm not worried about, I'm like, will I hit it? And then once I hit 1,000, I was like, oh, well, but I still want to keep growing. Like, so it wasn't like I'm totally happy and I've hit my limit and I'm not ready to keep growing. It's a continual thing. It will never stop. And it doesn't mean that I'm not successful or fulfilled. I feel like I'm already getting to do what I love. I'm already making money doing what I love. So the rest is just more, it's just more. Would I like it to be more supportive financially? Sure. But I'll get there and I'm not worried about it. If you put a time limit or you compare yourselves constantly with other people, you're going to see it as lack. So instead of doing that, and the other thing is if you go, oh, I want to be like that person, watch that thought. It's like the Wonder Woman movie where the one woman, not Gal Gadot, but whoever the other woman was, and I can't remember offhand. Forgive me, actress. You are memorable. Just not in my mind right now. She looked at Wonder Woman. She was like, oh, I want to be like her. Like, I want that. Well, what she wanted was her confidence. What she got was all this other stuff that turned out to not be in line with her. So when you see someone and you think, I want to be like that, thanks, Raktan. Instead of figure out what it is that you want, that they have, that you're seeing there. So like when people go, oh, couples goals, I'm like, what you want is like people who walk around holding hands, like, because you may not want all of their dysfunction and their fights and their insecurities and whatever else you're not seeing in that picture for 3 minutes. When you feel like there's competition, there is a lack of self-confidence. There is a lack of knowing that you're worthy and you're valuable and you can have whatever you want. There is no limit. There is no limit to possibility. There's 9 billion people in the world. So if you're doing what I do, well, there's plenty of people I can help. And I couldn't do it all anyway. That'd be like insane. So just know that there are multiple people meant to be doing something. So what if your idea of competition is, I want to like my SP back? Well, just decide you're the best energetically for them. Be the highest vibrational match that you can be. Be the best version of you that you can be. The best version of you is confident. The best version of you loves yourself. The best version of you respects yourself. And a lot of times we get belief systems wired into us that we're not valuable, we're not worthy, we're not enough, whether it's tall enough, thin enough, short enough, because some people are born tall and they want to be shorter, smart enough, funny enough, I don't know, good enough cook. Like every culture has a different thing connected to it as well, right? Where your value is put at. I remember I had a friend for a while and her mom would say like, well, like if you can't be successful, at least be really skinny and beautiful so you can get a man. Like, literally said that to her. So she wasn't enough. No matter what, she wasn't enough. So there's all these things that we get taught. Now, some people aren't as direct some parents aren't as direct when they teach you these things, but it gets taught. So it doesn't mean you have to stick with those belief systems and that I'm just ruined for life. I'm broken. You're not. You got crappy programming. And just like computers, you can update the programming and run it at a better, higher vibrational rate. Does anybody have any questions? I just wanted to get on because I want to be on here consistently talking about all of this stuff because I think it is really important. And I think it's the more places you can hear it and absorb it and feel like you're receiving, I think the better it is. I really am about mental diet too. So I notice when if I don't do my affirmations for a couple of days, that I start to feel like, and it sounds weird, like it has to be, but I notice vibration. I'm like, oh, and I'm talking about sitting down and journaling. I'm not talking about, if I feel a little down throughout the day, I use my affirmations, or if I have a hard time sleeping at night and I feel a little anxious when I wake up at night, then I do my affirmations. I am safe. I am secure. I am valuable. I am worthy, all of those things to help me kind of relax and go back to sleep. And I do affirmations for my kids too. I notice that, sometimes when things are going wrong with our kids, or some people do it with their spouses too, you easily run away of like, oh my God, what if the worst happens? And then I go, oh no, this is just a part of the bridge of incidents, because maybe this has to happen for all of these lessons to come along, and everything's going to be okay. Everything works out, best case scenario. That I do it for my kids too. Especially we get on the worry train because we're parents and that's what we do. And that's sometimes what we do for our loved ones, like our mothers or our fathers or our siblings, or, I get people asking questions about their families being okay. Good morning, Jeffrey. How are you? I hope you're well. You said a good nurse is never out of work. Even as a vet nurse, I witnessed that too. I'm totally new to manifesting, but realize that unconsciously I live this way. You do. So there's belief systems that you have that are easy to reprogram. There was one that I had recently, and I know this is going to sound weird, but so driving is my trigger area where I get like really annoyed with people. Like other areas, I'm like, whatever, let it go. But when I drive, I'm like, there's rules to the road. Like, pull your car all the way in the turn lane, please. You're creating traffic problems. And Jersey has these weird like jug handles. You can't turn left anywhere. So I get really annoyed when people try to turn left from a lane they're not supposed to. I know, whatever. And I also feel like people just will pull out in traffic and do all these crazy things, or like riding their bikes. And I always worried for a long time that I was going to miss somebody and actually hit somebody, like especially at night, because sometimes people don't wear, they'll wear dark clothing and they don't have good reflectors. And there's not always it's just not always well lit, whatever, in neighborhoods and stuff. And so I always worry. And so then I just decided that I always notice people and things in traffic. Like I always happen to notice, and everybody's safe and whatever. And so then what happened was, maybe a day after I did that, I noticed that someone pulled out in front of me, and I went, whoa. Instead of being all those kinds of words you can say about people, I went, whoa. And I was like, oh, look, I noticed how great everybody's safe. I change it. So now I'm every time someone pulls out, instead of getting angry, I'm like, oh, I noticed that, and they're safe, and everybody's safe, and we're okay. And I am starting to become more aware of people, and I don't have that fear anymore. And it was just a quick one to get rid of. But there's other ones where we have belief systems that are much more tangled up, right? So maybe I don't have, in nursing, I never had a fear of not getting a job, because I was always like, well, there's always a shortage. They just need us. I was like, I'll get the job. So I never thought, are they not going to like me? That never even crossed my mind. But with relationships, all kinds of stuff, I have a lot of I grew up with divorce and all kinds of other stuff. And so there's fear of abandonment issues that I had. So I do have to remind myself, even in friendships sometimes, and it's less now that I have a little bit more confidence, but oh, they're just busy. It's not that they don't like me, or, oh, no, I didn't offend them. It's okay. I would worry that I was always offending people or saying the wrong thing. And I know other people have this. That's why I'm sharing it. And so does manifestation work for certain things than others, like personal issues to work issues? It works for everything. It's just if you have a bigger story around it. So this is what I was saying, is I have a bigger story around certain things, like with relationships, than I do around work, like getting jobs and all of that stuff. I had a bigger story around that. Building my own business, I had a little bit bigger story around that, because I was always told how hard it is, right? So there's more reprogramming that has to happen, and more affirming, but you don't have to feel it to manifest it. You just have to create the pathway over and over and over again. And eventually, if you say it enough and go affirm it enough, it is, right? So um, I used to be nervous before readings. And I would always, and people would be like, you have to protect yourself. You have to protect yourself. So I'd come down here for like 15 minutes before a reading, and I try and like connect in with the person, and I do all these like protective things. And then I just decided, like, my friend Tony came along, who I'm going to be on his show on November 8th, on his podcast. And he was kind of like, oh no, I just believe I'm protected. So I am. And for a while I was like, what? That's crazy, because everybody always goes, you have to protect your energy. And then I just decided, like, well, yeah, that's kind of true. When I was a kid, I never thought I have to protect myself, and I was always protected and safe. So I come in and do a reading, and I don't worry about, like, I do a prayer of protection, but it's really because it puts my readers, my sitters at ease. Not has nothing to do with me. So then I can connect in with their energy a little bit easier, instead of having to weed through any like nervous, anxiety, whatever stuff. And then I'll know their anxiety is more like their baseline than it is like because they're worried what I'm going to say, if they have it. Um, I just changed it and decided, and then I just decided, well, I'll connect in with their energy. It doesn't matter. I stopped having that big story around it. But the other thing I had to break was my fear of being wrong. And so I did that through affirming, like, I maybe I don't trust myself, but I trust my guides. My guides have never let me down. And I just affirm that. And so it just is. Um, it comes through affirmations, and some take longer than others, you know. I think that's school stuff, yeah. But it's only harder if you have a bigger story around it. And harder meaning requires more affirming, requires more persistence. There's stuff where I'm like, oh, let me just see if I can manifest this. And like, I hold zero emotional connection with it. So there's no, and by when I say emotional connection, it's like there's nothing in there that sets a fear that's like, what if this doesn't happen? Like like manifesting people posting different things, just to, like, because I think it's funny to see, like, okay, I'm thinking about this person posting something on this topic or this type of picture, and then they do it, because that's, instead of getting cups of coffee, that's what I like to do, because I make my own coffee. Because I kind of hate Starbucks. Sorry. It's not that I hate Starbucks. Their roast is not for me. Um, yeah. So I don't know. There, but it's not really about, it's just you have to decide. So maybe you think it's hard to get a job, but I think this one should be really easy for people right now, especially given that they're like, we have a labor shortage. Okay. So what does that mean for you as someone going in looking for a job? You've got a lot more negotiating room for what you want to make. A friend of mine, she wanted to manifest back this job that she had. So, like, think of it as an XSP, this job where she was working, but she's like, I want better money. And she's like, and I was like, well, then just make them come to you. Like, they're just going to come to you and offer to you. And they did. And she was like, I was like, well, how much, do they offer? And she told me, and I was like, I mean, is that good? Because you have all that experience. So that doesn't seem like a good rate. And so it was like, no, go back and say, like, I already have this job. I'm making this much money. I have zero experience there, and they're paying me that much. So I've got this much to, like, and then be willing to walk from it if they're not willing to offer it to you. But you have negotiating room, because people need people to work. They're desperate for workers. So release that fear of not getting a job, because just know it. It's like when I went into nursing, they need me. I'm not worried about it. I got a job. I wasn't as confident about negotiating for money, but I have, grew up with a different story around money and being taught a different story around money. So that's one of my things I work on, reprogramming. My husband's family has a different story around money. Like, they're not like hush, hush, hush. Like, it's very different. So everything's different. And I've learned to be more relaxed about money too. But that's sort of time and experience and reaffirming, and then going, oh yeah, like, that is really that easy. Julia says, thank you so much for today. You have so much life experience to share. I do have a lot of life experience. And oddly, like, going through a lot of it, when you're in it, you're like, oh, it never stops. But I feel like when I start reflecting back on, I've had a lot of really unique and amazing experiences, and I'm beyond grateful for them, because in all circumstances, I can use it to help people. And the same thing with all of you. You have a lot of unique and interesting life experiences. You just have to recognize it. everything is perspective, and you've learned something for everything you've gone through. So use it to your advantage. Use those hard times to your advantage. You went through them for a reason, if nothing but to learn from them. So I'm going to go now. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. I'll be back tomorrow. Hopefully, I don't know if you guys want to talk about something specific, ask me. I'll focus on it, set a little meditation, and kind of connect them with my guides and see what they want me to share about it. That's sort of what I do every morning. It's like, what should we talk about today? There is some like spiritually stuff I'd like to talk about that's not manifesting, but sort of in the lines of it, because I think our psychic abilities connect in with our ability to manifest, and recognizing how we're manifesting and whether or not we're in alignment and all of that good stuff. So I hope you'll have a wonderful afternoon. I will see you tomorrow morning or evening or whatever time it is in your part of the world, or get some sleep. And I'll see you again. And then tomorrow is the last day of the purple shirt. And that is, you can look at the videos now and all that purple shirt. And that is just to remind you to persist, persist, persist. And then no live readings on Sunday, but I will be doing a free mediumship thing on Monday for 5 people. So come in, join, and we'll pick you from the comments. If you comment on the video below, I can put you in a drawing for it. Bye. Have a good one.